Yesterday, over 200 families were left homeless after the Kenville Informal Settlement was destroyed in a fire in Springfield. That's in Durban. To help us understand just how they're providing relief here, let's bring in Gift of the Givers, Bilall Jeewa, who is with us from that particular community and joins us via our video link. Great to have you on the program, so thanks very much indeed for making time. Perhaps let's just begin by understanding what happened here.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. A fire started out at around 1 a.m. on Sunday morning in the informal settlement. We received a call from the eThekwini Fire Department regarding this incident. So our teams responded in the early hours of the morning once the fire had been subsided and taken care of. We conducted an assessment and we identified that there was one death, one female who had passed away who was pregnant, as well as her child that was with her.
Gosh, that's devastating. Are you able to describe to us the extent of the damage caused by this blaze in that community?
There is over 250 structures that were damaged. There's a very few homes that remained untouched by the fire, so a very large amount of the community has been displaced. And also taking into account the weather conditions, it's going to be quite a challenge to get them back sorted out and get them into shelters again.
Yeah, I mean, your job, of course, is primarily providing relief, but I'm sure part of what you've noticed as part of your assessment is just how closely built together these homes were to begin with, making this fire spread as rapidly as it has.
Yes, that's the unfortunate circumstances of these informal structures. They are very closely knit together. So once a fire starts, within minutes, it spreads rapidly, and then you have a slight wind or breeze that's blowing, and that's what caused it. Also, the material with what it's structured is made out of wood poles and wooden items, things that can easily combustible. So the situation is quite bad, especially now during these winter months. As it gets cold, we normally tend to have a lot of these cases coming up.
Yeah, and typically, I mean, some people, of course, would want to provide assistance. What would you say are the most urgent needs for the people who've been displaced there in Springfield?
Currently, the most important thing would be blankets, mattresses, which have been provided, and hot meals, because they don't have facilities to prepare meals. So a hot meal that is prepared will be ideal in these situations until they have a place to stay where they can prepare their own meals, and then we can look at providing non-perishable items thereafter.
Yeah, and you know, just
clothing as well would be quite important.
Sure, apologies for interrupting you there. What the question I was going to ask is, you know, given the kind of work that you've done, and perhaps for as long as you have, I wonder whether you are getting the sense that we're getting better at managing these kinds of situations. You know, in other words, are the messages landing with communities about how to avoid tragedies like this? And when tragedy does strike, are we getting better at responding to at least help the people who've been affected?
Our response times have significantly increased, even with the disaster management teams, the fire departments, etc. However, it's not a solution as yet. We have to find an alternate solution to avoid this totally. I mean, a death of anyone is not something that's we consider as an achievement. It is a serious problem. And where they are situated, sometimes accessed by the fire departments to get into these informal structures to extinguish these fires, that's another challenge they face, and getting water, etc., out to those places. And like I said, it's rapidly spread. So normally, if it was another situation, a bigger settlement, I'm sure the damage would be much more significant.
Yeah. What's your sense about the government's ability to provide some kind of temporary shelter for people who've been displaced in that community? Is the state managing?
Thus far, we haven't heard of anything, or we haven't been told anything. So they have provided temporary shelter as a tent for now, but that's not a solution at the moment. We're hoping that they can expedite materials so they can rebuild their homes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Bilall Jeewa, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Really devastating what's taking place in that community and more widely speaking in KwaZulu-Natal. Bilall Jeewa is the spokesperson for Gift of the Givers in KZN. One fatality being confirmed in that particular community after a fire started in the early hours of Sunday morning.